was to try to avoid being prosecuted and convicted of this offence.
He tried every trick in the book through his Indian defence lawyers to try and delay the extradition.
He feigned illnesses, members of his legal team just wouldn't turn up, so the cases were adjourned. It was cold, it was calculating. He knew he'd killed, but he didn't want to face up to justice.
Kohli's relentless lying was piling even more pressure on Hannah's grieving parents, Trevor and Hilary. To compound matters, Hilary wasn't just fighting for justice, she was also battling breast cancer. But somehow, she found the strength to appeal directly to Kohli.
He's lodged in jail number 4. You want to give him his space?
It's a very personal letter. It's an appeal to Kohli to remind him that actually this is having a terrible impact on our family, but equally on his family too.
I don't think that their work and participation can be understated. Trevor and Hilary did absolutely everything that they could as loving parents for Hannah from the moment that they woke up on that Saturday morning and realised that their beloved daughter wasn't in the house. And thereafter, I witnessed it at first hand on one visit they made to India, the tireless work, campaigning that they did to ensure that everything was being done to make sure that this man came back to the UK to face trial.
You know, sometimes you just feel physically exhausted. We're going through a roller coaster of emotions, and you just think, no, we've got to keep going for Hannah, and it's the driver.
It was over 100 court hearings over 3 years, 30 appeals before the High Court judge at Delhi finally, having assessed all the evidence, decided there was a case to answer and gave the British police permission to come and get him.
So in summer 2007, myself and 2 colleagues went to New Delhi expressly to bring Kohli back. I do recall he made an off-the-cuff comment along the lines of "you win some, you lose some," and I took that to mean that he tried his best to frustrate being brought back to the UK, but it's eventually proved futile.
4 years after running from British justice, Kohli was at last back in the UK.
I looked at him in the face and charged him with the kidnap, rape and murder of Hannah Foster. And after charging him, there was no emotion in him whatsoever. He was just completely without emotion. It will stay with me for a long time.
In October 2008, Kohli was brought to trial at Winchester Crown Court.
I think the circumstances of this particular case touched everybody. Hannah was a lovely, gentle girl who was very popular and certainly had an awful lot to give the world.
Going through the investigation and speaking to Hilary and Trevor, I just felt that I got to know Hannah a little bit. She was bright and intelligent and a lovely person to be with and to know. Unfortunately now, Hannah is unable to fulfil her dreams and aspirations and grow up to be the person that she could have been.
Kohli's court romantics continued right up until the end of the trial.
Throughout the 6-week trial, Kohli wouldn't accept at all any of the evidence that was presented to the court, but the evidence was overwhelming. At the end of the trial, the jury filed in. It was such a tense, emotional moment for everyone. You could hear a pin drop.
When the foreman of the jury was asked to deliver his verdict and he stood up and said guilty, I just looked over at the Fosters and the emotion was unbelievable.
Hilary and Trevor had at last fulfilled their promise to their daughter Hannah. Maninder Pal Singh Kohli was sentenced to life in jail and ordered to serve at least 24 years for the false imprisonment, kidnap, rape and murder of Hannah Foster.
When I saw Mr. and Mrs. Foster and their daughter, Sarah, walking out of the courtroom down the steps towards the media pack, my heart went out to them, and I really felt quite emotional because I realised that this was the end for them, and what they must have gone through it doesn't bear thinking about.
We've waited nearly 6 years for this moment, and we're physically and emotionally exhausted. It's taken every opportunity to delay and pervert the course of justice. Today, finally, justice has caught up with him.
Coming up this week, cameras record the work of all 3 emergency services, offering a comprehensive view of those who keep the city of Sheffield safe. That's Total Emergency on Wednesday night at 10:35.